What are the most exciting storylines for the Denver Nuggets this upcoming season? We're going to talk about all of the great opportunities that are in front of the Nuggets. This is not going to be like, let's celebrate everything good show, but I do think there are some very interesting things to tap into about this team that are going to make a difference for what happens this upcoming season. This is Swiper. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your daily Denver Nuggets episode, y'all. We are just 2 Mondays away from NBA Media Day for Denver, and you know what that means. We are about to get back into the NBA season. The summer has had different periods. So the first part of the summer, the Nuggets lose in 7. And honestly, after Game 6, so many Nuggets fans were looking forward to Game 7. They thought they would have an opportunity to be able to move on past the second round. At the end of Game 6, Aaron Gordon comes out with an injury that, had it been the regular season, would have had him out for weeks, if not months. And then Michael Porter Jr. had the injury with the shoulder from Game 2 versus the Clippers that would have had him out for weeks, if not months, had it been the regular season. The Nuggets get to Game 7. The only healthy players they got are Jokic, Jamal Murray, and then obviously Christian Brown, who had a really good first half in that game especially. The Nuggets are winning Game 7. Jokic steps out of the game. They go to the bench, and Jamal Murray and Jokic sit on the bench while Russ tries to make something happen with the bench unit, and everything falls apart. And the Nuggets, one of the main things about the team, as good as the starters were last year, and they had a better starting 5 than the Thunder did in the series. They had a better starting 5 than the Clippers did. But in both of those series, what really hurt Denver was that when they went without Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, that is absolutely a part of what debilitated them this last season. They just didn't have enough options. So then we get into the offseason part of the summer, and we get to draft season, and all of a sudden everybody's kind of like, man, the Nuggets aren't going to do anything. They're not making any trades. They don't have any ammunition. They don't have tradable contracts. They're just going to run it back. And if you hear John Wallace and Ben Tenzer, they had highlighted that they were going to try to look at internal development as the thing of the future. This is how you build the team. Nobody expected them to do anything. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes Michael Porter Jr. and a 2032 first-round pick traded for Cam Johnson. Not only do the Denver Nuggets get a very good player in replacement of Michael Porter Jr., they also get $17 million in difference between MPJ's contract and Cam's. So with that money, when everybody thought the Denver Nuggets were dead in the water, they go and trade for Jonas Valanciunas, getting off, I think, their worst rotation player making actual money in Dario Saric. They trade Jonas Valanciunas because the Sacramento Kings were looking for a salary dump to get him off the books. And so they get Dario for $5 million less. The Nuggets get maybe their best backup center they've ever had, who is a really good NBA center. He's one of the 30 best centers in the sport, and now he plays for Denver. And then the Nuggets, they signed Tim Hardaway Jr., who, as somebody who watched a lot of what they were doing with Detroit, he was an integral part of why they were so good. They signed him to a veteran minimum. And then on top of that, Brucey B, first opportunity, signs back with the Denver Nuggets, not on like mid-level exception, not a taxpayer mid-level exception, but for the veteran minimum. So they signed Jonas Valanciunas and get him in a trade. They get Tim Hardaway Jr. for veteran minimum. They get Bruce Brown, and they got Cam Johnson. But one of the things I'm most excited about, you all, is DaRon Holmes. I have been excited about DaRon Holmes ever since he was drafted to the team. And one of the reasons is that DaRon, in terms of his basketball makeup, is a 6'10", 225-pound power forward / center who is a very, very talented basketball player. If you look at the 2021 high school draft, he was listed as a top 40 candidate that season. He's really athletic, really strong. He goes to Dayton, has a really good career at Dayton, takes him to the NCAA tournament, has some really good games, and he ends up being a lot better college player than he was a high school player, and he was a good high school player. But DaRon is a very good athlete. He's a vertical athlete, and one of the things that I really love about his game is that when he first stepped on the scene last year for the Nuggets in 2024, one of the first things you notice is his ability to shoot the ball. And for me, I was shocked because you see it on film in college, but then when you actually see him go out and do it in the NBA game in the scrimmage, it's like, yo, he actually can pull. And then you watch him this year, he comes back off an Achilles injury that honestly was a big injury that cost Denver last year. Again, I don't know if he would have been a big contributor, but I do know he would have gotten time to play. They needed more size and athleticism in the front court. And so DaRon misses a whole year, comes back this summer. And if you look at DaRon Holmes, 19 points, 17 rebounds, and 5 assists in Summer League. And if you watch these Summer League everywhere, the rebounding, the running in transition, he's catching alley-oops, he's dunking the ball, he's scoring on the interior, he's setting screens, he's catching the ball, hitting three-pointers, he's catching the ball, pump faking and driving and getting to the basket. And one of the things that I said at the time was DaRon wasn't as explosive off the catch as I think he will be as he gets older and his NBA body really settles in. But also, at this point in July, he was only 12 months removed from the injury. Y'all, we're in September. So July, 12 months. August, 13. September, 14 months post-Achilles injury. And then by the time, y'all, we get to the start of the NBA season, it will be a whole 15 months for him that he's had a chance to not just get back to where he was, but to get better and to move forward as a hooper. And I actually think that's going to be a big additive to this team. And I think they're going to be able to play around. And one of the things I'm most looking forward to is how do the Denver Nuggets play around with the lineup of Nikola Jokic and DaRon Holmes, Nikola Jokic and Peyton Watson, Nikola Jokic and Cam Johnson, Nikola Jokic and Tim Hardaway, Nikola Jokic and Bruce Brown, but also Jonas Valanciunas and Peyton Watson, Jonas Valanciunas and DaRon Holmes, Jonas Valanciunas and Bruce Brown, Jonas Valanciunas with Cam Johnson, Jonas Valanciunas with Jamal Murray, Jonas Valanciunas with Christian Brown, Jonas Valanciunas and Aaron Gordon. I mean, you just look at all of those things put together. There's so much more versatility, and I truly believe that when you look at DaRon Holmes, he fits what the Nuggets are looking to build and the direction they're trying to go in. And I am so excited to see how he works out with this roster, to see him put his athleticism to use, to see him put a lot of the intangible stuff that is just you need a player to be able to work hard and do things that are important and make plays on a possession-by-possession basis that don't just have to do with having a high scoring total and stuff like that. Like, you need players that are going to get in there and they're going to get dirty and they're going to do the hard work. And DaRon, because the skill set he has, and also one of the other things too that I'm mentioning here, if you've been paying attention on the YouTube circuit at all, the basketball circuit, DaRon Holmes has been out with the Denver Nuggets at all the Rico Hines runs. And if you just watch the way that he plays with Jamal and the way he plays with everybody else, again, it's not about he's guaranteed to get the job done and to be like an instant player in the rotation. But the hope is, and why this is such an important storyline, is that by the time you get to, let's say, January, February, you're like seeing moments of DaRon Holmes. You've had moments of DaRon Holmes in games where it's like, yo, this is a very like quality young rotation player they're adding to the roster that has promise, you know, when you watch him play. And again, I also don't want to count out Zeke Naji. Look, Zeke, I think, had a lot of lulls in the last several years, obviously, but Zeke also had some really good runs last year. Defensively, most notably was the Detroit Pistons game where Zeke Naji, where he was able to go into the game, get 3 blocks in the first quarter, hit a 3, got a dunk, and all of a sudden it's like, yo, Zeke, where you been? I really think that DaRon Holmes, Zeke Naji, and Peyton Watson offer some really unique athletic upside to the front court. And if you look at how, like, Kenrich Williams and Chet Holmgren and these other players, they all lean into this archetype of super long, super athletic. Indiana Pacers, think Isaiah Jackson, who missed because of an Achilles injury. Think Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam. And then you add in Nesmith and Nembhard. just athletes all over the place. The Nuggets are going to have more athletes, and I think that can be put to use by David Adelman in a really unique way. On the other side, I want to get to how the starting five is going to be one of the biggest storylines of the year, because I actually think there's a possibility it could be the best starting five we've ever had in Denver. We're going to be right back for more here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, if you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Now, think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe a plumber or a service provider. If the person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. Now, OpenPhone is great. Think about it, you all. When you're busy and you're working out or you're trying to do the next thing, go to the grocery store, you're just stepping away from your business and trying to operate everything from the top down. But what do you do if somebody needs you and wants to connect with you about your business and is looking to see how they can invest or get involved? Well, this is why OpenPhone matters the most, because now you don't have to even answer the phone, because OpenPhone lets you manage business calls and text from a single app. There's a shared inbox feature that is a game changer. You can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. And their AI agent, this is one of the best parts, handles after-hour calls and answers common questions and captures leads so you never miss a customer. OpenPhone is offering my listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's OpenPhone.com /LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. We'll be back for segment 2 of Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, we're back here with segment 2 of Locked On Nuggets. Thank y'all so much for joining today. Now, we are right through the grind. We're almost at the end of the NBA offseason, and things are heating up. I can't wait to get started with this NBA season. It is going to be so great. By the way, y'all, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Make sure also, if you're watching this and you say, Swiper, Matt Moore, Ryan Blackburn, you do such a great job. We love what you do. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. I believe that we're getting to 15,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, at least by the end of the NBA season. We can get there. This community is growing exponentially. We want you to be a part of all the great stuff that's happening here. If you're listening to this, to the smooth jazz voice of Locked On Nuggets, on the audio side, on Spotify or on Apple iTunes, give us a 5-star review. That way more and more people can listen to the great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, I am so excited about this Denver Nuggets starting lineup, y'all. So excited. And I'm trying to remove myself from, championship. I believe the Denver Nuggets, they're going to be my favorite and pick to win the title, most likely. But I really want to focus on more so the basketball harmony side of this. Last year, the Denver Nuggets starting five, if you look at Data Baller and you put the lineups together, they were great last season. They were a plus 13.5 with a 128.6 offensive rating and a 118.2 defensive rating. They had a plus 10.4 net rating. That's really good. But remember, this was only 408 minutes played last year. They had so many issues, y'all, that they ran into because they just could not get healthy at the same time. And people were having so many issues staying on the court. But last year, that was the best offensive unit in basketball. They had a 64 true shooting last year. They were absolutely blazing as jump shooters. They were shooting 41.4% from three as a starting unit. Really good. And what I want people to realize is that Cam Johnson, his IQ is going to be the thing that most Nuggets fans pay attention to. And they're like, man, the way he thinks through the game, that backdoor cut that he had, that off-ball movement that he had, they're running a flex offense, which is meaning you're focalizing on how do you maximize the post and the corner. Cam Johnson being able to run those down screens off of those actions, or if you need somebody else to initiate the offense while Jamal Murray is running an action with Jokic or running an action with Christian Brown, then you can do it with Cam Johnson. And one of my great things that I love most about this Denver Nuggets team is the fact they run that horn set and they'll have Aaron Gordon throw the ball into Jamal at the nail, and Jokic is on the other side. So you'll have Jokic, Murray, and then you'll have Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon will throw the ball into Jokic. He'll come and set a down screen for Jamal, and either it's an Aaron Gordon slip off, not trying to do a switch there, or it's going to be a Jamal Murray comes around the top because now the screener is taking forever to get around AG because he doesn't want him to go to the rim for a dunk. Or it's a handoff to Jamal, and then the runner goes around, and now you get into a DHO action with Jokic, and now Jokic is like, all right, bet. I'm the best. I'm one of the best jump shooters in the league. I shot 44% from three last year without Heath. So Jamal drives, kick out the yoke. And then if you don't do that, now Jamal drives, double on the drive. Jokic is actually rolling now, and now you got the best floater shooter ever. Or on the other end, if you do send help, because one thing team did last year, because how many issues the Denver Nuggets roster had when they didn't have all the starters in the roster, and especially because of the shooting difficulties in the playoffs and Michael Porter Jr. not being able to hit the shots, one thing team did is that when they would run sets like that, where they were running the horn and they're getting the DHO, well, they would just pre-help at Jokic, so he didn't get an open three-point look at the top of the key. And so they would pre-help at Jokic, and then Porter or Brown, whoever's on the opposite side of the play, they would then have to come up and get ready to receive the ball from Murray, or they would have to be willing to cut and get the backdoor action off of what's happening in the middle of the floor. But one of the things that Cam Johnson, I think, is truly going to be able to help this team with, thinking through the layout of the court. JJ Redick and LeBron James, before JJ was the head coach of the LA Lakers, called it court mapping. So being able to think through my body position on the court, where the ball is, what action we're running, what defense they're in, and how they're playing the initial action. Are they being super aggressive at the point of attack? Are they being more hesitant? They're playing, maybe they're icing the pick and roll. Well, then all of that is going to affect what Cam Johnson is doing off the ball. Am I playing up at the three-point line? Am I playing down at the three-point line? Am I playing as a diver or as a slasher? Am I running to the rim? Am I coming to get the ball? All that stuff Cam excels in. So if you go watch Cam Johnson's film with the Brooklyn Nets, he does such a great job of thinking through process. And the other player here that I think is going to be a big storyline in this is Jamal Murray's evolution as a point guard. That, for me, is going to be special. I personally think, man, Jamal Murray, one of the things he is most disregarded at is the fact that he is such a good passer playmaker at his position. Now, he's not Trae Young. He's not Jalen Brunson. He's not one of those level, or Tyrese Halliburton. He's not one of those level of players that's like, dribble, pass, crazy passes, initiating the offense, raising the floor of the offense to something crazy. Now, he's had moments like in the playoff this year where the team was losing their minutes without Jamal this year because they didn't have other ball handlers they could trust. So you can't ask him to do everything, but he is so much better at the small things in basketball than he used to be. And so I think having him and Cam Johnson, honestly, y'all, be able to man the second unit with Cam Johnson's IQ and Jamal Murray's ability to really, truly make an impact on this roster as a playmaker and a passer, I think that's going to be a really great storyline next year. Jamal Murray, his leadership I don't want to say he's taken a step because that would imply that he hasn't been a leader. I'm hoping that it continues to increase his leadership skills. You see him running with the team in the Rico Hines runs. He's been in Denver. There's pictures of him with the team working out this summer. It feels from a distance like Jamal knows what this season could be. It feels from a distance like Jamal Murray knows he has an opportunity to be an all-star level player this year, and everybody in Denver wants him to do it. And I think him and having Cam Johnson is going to be a big part of that, because Jamal Murray, Cam Johnson, Jonas Valanciunas, DaRon Holmes, and Peyton Watson, I can see that kind of unit flourishing. I can see a unit with him and Bruce Brown, Jonas Valanciunas, DaRon Holmes, and Cam Johnson. There you go. That's your second unit. Now, let's go to work. Bruce Brown is the POA defender. He's another dribbler. Cam Johnson's another dribbler, can take the other defensive responsibility. You got an outlet at the rim with DaRon Holmes. You got an outlet in the pick and roll with Jonas Valanciunas. You got an outlet as a ball handler with Bruce Brown and Cam Johnson. You got outlets as shooter with Bruce, Cam, and DaRon Holmes and Jonas. And then you got a really good offensive rebounder. I'm telling y'all, there's a pathway for Jamal that with the second unit, this could be his year. And I'm hoping that this is going to be what we see from Jamal. On the other side, I want to talk a little bit more about this, but Julian Strawther, I think, is such an unheralded part of why this team could truly be unlocked to go to the next level this season. We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, I love using FanDuel because I love same-game parlays. I love being able to scope out what's happening across the Sunday, and I can put the 1 o'clock games together. I can put the 4 o'clock games together with the 8:20 game on Sunday Night Football and then the Monday night game on Monday. I love being able to put different parlays together because I believe with my football knowledge, I can make some really good bets on FanDuel. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little bit more energy to our Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. We'll be back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, we're back here for the final segment of Locked On Nuggets. I truly appreciate every single one of y'all being here with us in the building, grinding through the NBA offseason. We're just 2 Mondays away from Media Day. We're just 31 or so days from opening night. I can't wait. 1 month to go, and Denver Nuggets basketball is back. Y'all, I think everybody has had multiple opinions about Jamal and what he is and all that stuff. I get it. But what I'm excited for is to see how Jamal continues to improve and where his mind is right now. I feel really good about the direction that he's headed in. I feel really good about the direction where the team is headed in. I'm excited to see how everybody continues to take care of those businesses and get the job done, to be working out all summer, to be making sure you're locked in, make sure you know what you're supposed to be doing. One of the biggest things in basketball that separates the great from the good from the average, and the average from the bad is KYP. Know your personnel. Do your job. The Nuggets and David Adelman, one of the things that has to be a key tenet of this year is everybody buying into your job. So from Jokic and your defensive responsibilities to Jamal and your handling of the point guard position, to Cam Johnson and fielding around where you need to be, to Christian Brown and his development and making sure you're doing your job as a primary defender on the perimeter and making sure that you're connecting with everybody else on the floor, from Aaron Gordon to Peyton Watson, to Julian Strawther, to Jalen Pickett, to Bruce Brown, Jonas Valanciunas. The thing that will make the Denver Nuggets NBA champions is obviously you need health on your side. You got to have chemistry, but you got to do your job. One of the things that I can't stand most in team sports is when somebody gets beat for something and they look around at everybody else. Why didn't you do this? Now, the Nuggets, they definitely have blown coverages last year. You know, Jokic was extremely frustrated. He would raise his hands and look around off of a score before he took the ball out of bounds. Like, whoa, I thought we had that covered. Why didn't we, boom, boom, boom. And especially the Wizards game last year where he had 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 8 assists. It was terrible. And I think a lot of people, they're missing that last year was such an unhappy season from the team because of all the discord with Malone and Booth and the expectations they knew that they probably weren't going to meet. And plus, they were so exhausted. and they didn't have the team. I think everybody right now, from Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Cameron Johnson, Aaron Gordon, to Nikola Jokic, to Bruce Brown, to Tim Hardaway Jr., to Julian Strawther, to Peyton Watson, to DaRon Holmes, to Jonas Valanciunas, to Hunter Tyson, and to Jalen Pickett. Everybody knows we have enough. This could be our year. But how do you take advantage of that? How do you make sure that you don't let the moment pass by? Is by being locked in on exactly what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. And I think Cam Johnson and his leadership, he wants to compete. On the Young Man in the Three podcast, when he's talking about playing in Denver, one of the things he mentioned that really stuck out to me, I want to compete for a title. I want to compete in the playoffs. I didn't like when I was playing in Brooklyn, and when the playoffs are going on, I'm watching players go out and give their all to try to win a series, to try to win a title, and I couldn't do it because I'm sitting on the sideline. That's hunger. Jonas Valanciunas, you've never been on a team this good. You've never been able to compete for a title like this. There's an opportunity for Jonas to go out and to win a title and to be a key part, especially in the regular season, to be a key part for what's happening for this Denver Nuggets team. And on top of that, to be a key part of what's happening with the team, just even in certain series and being able to get the job done. You know, Jonas, you were playing on the Toronto Raptors team, but you missed the opportunity when you got traded. He went to Memphis for Marc Gasol. Now, Jonas, let's get it done. Let's get it done. Like, how can you make a really, truly seismic impact on what this team is? He's good enough to do it. That leadership is there. He's a grown man, an NBA athlete. Bruce Brown, 2 years ago, 2023, you win a title with this team. Now you made your money. You made $45 million. You're back. Everybody's doubting you. And you're 28 years old now. Everybody says, people are saying you don't got it in you. You can go out and you can prove it. Tim Hardaway Jr., you've been a journeyman. This is an opportunity for you to make a significant impact on a team that wants to win a title. Now, you really, truly helped a Detroit team last year, I think, to take another step and to make the playoff, which is huge. But you've never been on a team that can compete at this level, legitimately win a title. But you can now. And I think that should be something that inspires him. Peyton Watson, this is your opportunity to get a bag. You have an opportunity to become an even better player, to be a part of this core going forward, or to be so good that you have to get moved to go somewhere else where you can be a star. It's all on the table, but it all starts with you. And Julian Strawther. Last season, me and Ryan Blackburn, we were having discussions about what exactly he could be. We said that the 2022 Jordan Poole type run, that could be in play for him. There's a world where him as a pull-up shooter, there's a world with him as a scorer, there's a world with him as a bench player, that he could become the player that Jordan was, where he makes that kind of impact, where he's able to be a just absolute monster off of the bench for this team, maybe even to be a spot starter for this team, to be a closer for this team. It's all on the table. That is a part of what made Jordan Poole so dynamic. That's a part of what made the Warriors so good, is that when Steph Curry was in or out, you had another guy that could literally change the dynamics of the floor. Julian Strawther has all of that. He is a better shooter by reputation than he is by results at this point. But if you look at his jump shot, y'all, it's not in his mechanics. I think his mechanics for him had been more about variance, or the outcome of the shot had been more about variance. He only shot 35% last year. He shot 29.7% last year. Julian Strawther, there's no reason you shouldn't shoot 38% from three next year on 4 to 5 attempts a game. No reason. You're too good at it. And then on top of that, you saw the moment he had this year versus the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA playoffs, where they were sleeping, they were playing, and Shea thought that, hey, I can play off coverage on this guy. I don't got to worry about him going down to the basket. I don't got to worry about him taking over in this game. And then you prove them wrong. I think Julian Strawther, you can do that more often than you did last year. There can be some moments from Julian where all of a sudden he makes a massive swing for this team. Like the 8 points that he had at the end of the quarter in the third quarter this year. I mean, again, like, it changed the dynamics of the court. It changed what the team was doing. And then you saw the crowd eruptions because of your shooting level. So if you add in the fact that the Nuggets, I think, are getting more mature, They got all these veterans that are hungry for a next contract or hungry to cement their legacy somewhere, that to win a title somewhere. And then you couple that. I think the main storyline this year, DaRon Holmes, what is he going to be this year? The starting five. Will this be the best they've ever had? Jamal Murray, what's his evolution going to look like? Cam Johnson, his IQ, how does he make the team better? And then Julian Strawther, will you take the next step to be one of the young, dynamic guards in the NBA? Because you have the opportunity and the skill set to do it. Y'all, this is going to do it for Locked On Nuggets. I hope you had a spectacular day today, this Friday. We'll be back next week with more content. Like I said, Media Day is just 2 Mondays away. We'll have more coming your way. This is Swiper. This is Locked On Nuggets. See you on the other side.